Good morning, good afternoon, rather, everybody. How's everybody doing on this lovely morning? You guys can give me a thumbs up or something like that. But good morning, or good afternoon, rather. Oh, thank you. Thank you for the thumbs up. First of all, I just want to, thank Bishop Barbara, who's like a mother to me and my wife, for allowing me to come out and speak a little bit today. And I thank Elder Shakira for putting this together. And she was such a joy and a blessing to work with this morning as we were trying to get everything together and get going. So, I'm really grateful. I'm grateful to God to be here this morning. And I know she just prayed, but I'm going to pray really quick for myself. And I pray that everybody gets ready to enjoy this. But Father, in Jesus' name, God, we just thank you. We bless you. We give you praise, glory, and honor. I thank you, Lord God, for your presence in this place this morning. I thank you for the precious people that have joined us online, that is viewing this workshop today. I pray, Father, in Jesus' name, that you will open up all of our ears to hear what the Spirit of the Lord is saying. I thank you in advance for just using me for your glory and honor, and maybe be able to share something that will be a great blessing to those that will listen. Father, we just thank you in advance for it, for everything that you're going to say and everything that you're going to do. In Jesus' mighty name. Amen. 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 So look, we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to really quick. I'm a pastor, so I gotta give you a little scripture. But this will be the only preaching that I do today, and I'm not really going to preach, but I'm going to share this scripture that God gave me this morning as I was just studying in my personal prayer time, and I think it really has relevance for what I'm going to talk about today. So the scripture is found in Proverbs chapter 5, verse 1, and it says there, "My son, be attentive to my wisdom." And in the Amplified, I love the way it puts it, because it says, "This wisdom is godly wisdom learned by costly experience." And it says, "Incline your ear to my understanding." So I wanted to bring that out, and I wanted to mention that because what I'm going to share with you today is as the result of not something I learned from a book, but through costly experience. And the experience was costly because I had a lot of failures, a lot of trials, a lot of challenges along the way, trying to come up with what I call financial constitution, what I believe in as far as what you need to do in order to become financially independent. I'm talking to the church. So first and foremost, of course, you need to know that you need to honor God, right? You need to honor God with your tithes and your offerings. That's number one. I kind of consider finances it's the two-winged bird, right? One part of it is honoring God with your tithes and offerings, right? You can't get around that. The blessing of the Lord comes upon you when you honor the Lord with your tithes and with your offerings. But number two is as equal important as, being a tither, which is you need to learn how to manage the finances that you have. See, God, he always is looking at faithfulness. The Bible says that he that is faithful over that which is least will be faithful in much. And if you're unjust in least, you'll be unjust in much. So in other words, God will always start you off with a little bit and then see how you handle it or manage it. And then if you manage it well, then you'll open up the door to receive more, right? So we need to learn not just to give, we need to learn how to give, but then we also need to learn how to manage, right? So today I'm going to be talking about the management side of it, particularly, how do you handle your money now that we're going through this pandemic? And I want to preface my statement or this presentation with just saying this. Anybody that's listening, no matter what situation you're in, whether you're working right now or not, or whether you're receiving some kind of income or not, you should be able to benefit from what I'm going to talk about today. I kind of made this presentation open for everybody that's going to be listening today. So we're going to jump into this. We're just going to get started. So first of all, just a little bit about myself. I mean, you already know I'm a pastor, but financially, I've worked in the financial sector for over 20 years now. I started off working for Prudential. I worked for them for 13 years, and I wound up leaving, when I was about 35 years old. I let my wife know I like what I'm doing, but I don't love it. I need to do something different. And one of the things I wanted to do is help people get their finances in order. So I left back in 2010 to pursue that goal of really helping families get their finances together. As a result, I wound up getting my life insurance license. I helped a lot of families get their life insurance together. I know that a lot of people in our communities don't have life insurance, which is a shame, really, because of the fact that a lot of people leave their family with not only the loss of their life, but also debt, the debt of have to bury them, So I got my life insurance license. I got my Series 6 for investments, started helping people, invest their money. I became a loan officer. I was helping people get mortgages for their houses, so I've also do taxes. I ran one of the largest tax programs in the city of Newark for the last 5 years now. And we do free taxes free of charge for anybody that wants to get their taxes done. That's something I'm still doing. So I've been working in finance for a long time now. And over the years, I've made some mistakes. I've been through some challenges financially, so that has kind of helped me shape what I call my financial constitution and what I want to share with you a little bit today. So let's just dive right into it. So first of all right, my clicker's not working. You take my clicker out? That's all right, we'll get it going. We're gonna work without it. Oh, maybe we won't. There we go. All right, so let's talk about, first of all, and maybe you're gonna have to help me drive. Let's talk about, first of all, some lessons that we should have learned from this pandemic. And I know that many of us, I've learned some lessons through this pandemic. The very first lesson I learned is no, without a question, we are super social creatures. And that just simply means that we need contact, and this pandemic showed me just how social of a creature I am. I really love being around people, and this pandemic has kind of halted that a little bit, but we don't stop it. We got to keep moving. But this pandemic has definitely taught me that. Just to be funny, the pandemic definitely taught us that we needed to learn how to wash our hands. We should have always been washing our hands, but in the pandemic, we've definitely learned that. To get a little more on topic, we definitely need to create what I call recession-proof income. The businesses and people that have done well are people that were in industries or that had businesses that were recession-proof, right? The Amazons of the world did amazing, right? Their income skyrocketed where other industries didn't, right? Because of the fact that, we're trying to get to things and we can't get to stores. So everybody flocked to Amazon to get things. So bottom line is what they had or what they created was a recession-proof income. And while we're going through this presentation, I'm gonna talk about that just a little bit today, but we need to create for ourselves recession-proof income. The other thing that we all should have learned is that we all need emergency fund savings. And I probably talked about this in every single presentation I've ever done for years when I talk about finances. I always talk about the fact that we need to have emergency fund savings. Those of us that had some emergency fund savings, especially if you lost your job for a little while, or if you had to go without an income for a short period of time, those that didn't have any kind of emergency fund savings, of course, really, struggled throughout all of this. And those that had it, they were at least able to get by until they were able to find something else that they could do to produce an income, especially those that were waiting for like unemployment benefits. Because for some people, it took weeks for them to get, if not, some people it took a couple of months, I've heard about, that were waiting for their unemployment benefits to come through. And if they did not have any kind of emergency fund savings, they struggled throughout that little bit of time that they were waiting for their finances to come through. So those are just some lessons that we all should have learned throughout this pandemic. I have to do this with my hand. What's that? The mouse. Oh, I got the mouse here. So, okay, maybe the mouse works better. All right, so the importance of establishing emergency fund. We all found out that simply that life happens. I've been telling people this for years. Life happens. It's gonna rain. It might not. It's not might gonna rain. It is gonna rain eventually. Every once in a while, it does rain, and we need to have an umbrella when it does. Life does happen. Situation happens. And unfortunately, most people are not prepared for those little life happenings. Um, every once in a while, the car breaks down. Every once in a while, you have to, replace things in your house. Every once in a while, things happen. And, according to Forbes, as I was looking it up, 63% of Americans don't have enough emergency fund savings just to cover a $500 emergency. So in other words, a small emergency, like, again, your car breaking down or something like that. Most people don't even have enough money to cover that in savings. And so what happens when that goes down? Well, most people have to go into debt, right? Use your credit cards. And credit cards are a horrible emergency fund because of the fact that you're paying that money back with incredibly high interest. And that little $500 emergency could wind up costing you a couple of $1,000s if you're just paying minimum payments on credit cards. So at the very least, I always educate people to at least have $500 to $1,000, in an emergency fund savings, just to start it off, right? You want to start somewhere, and that start is having about $500 to $1,000 in a small emergency fund. That kind of covers most small, things that happen to people. So that's my first recommendation is start there, right? If you didn't have any emergency fund savings, do your best right now to put away at least $500 to $1,000 just to have a small emergency fund. Also, there we go. Yes, the mouse is working better. So we have to build a fully funded emergency fund, which is 3 to 6 months worth of expenses. So this is not necessarily your income, it's your expenses. So we'll talk a little bit about how you begin to calculate that, but you need to find out how much it would take to pay every single bill that you have in your house. That can be your rent or your mortgage, your insurances, your debts for food. I mean, every single expense that you have, PSE&G or JCP&L, whoever your service provider is, your cable, all of those things, you need to calculate how much those monthly expenses are. And then the next goal after the $500 to $1,000 is to save 3 to 6 months worth of expenses. I also recommend this for anybody that's listening that also has a business or, ministry purpose or whatever. If you have another source of income like a business, that business need to have 3 to 6 months worth of emergency fund. What's happened with a lot of small businesses is that they didn't have any money set aside for emergencies, right? They were all, just like most people, these businesses were living paycheck to paycheck or day to day, and just kind of making their expenses month to month without having any savings set aside. So when this went down and they had to stop, opening for whatever, they didn't have the money to continue. Even those that received the pandemic relief, that took time to come. And having an emergency fund will help you get through that time that it takes for that money to come in. So that's the next big goal, right? The next big goal is to have 3 to 6 months worth of expenses saved up. And of course, this is mainly for your protection against the loss of an income. And I always talk about, you don't want to have this money, sitting in a shoebox or somewhere that's not earning any kind of interest, because one thing that we are learning right now is with all the money that's being pumped into the economy right now, the value of the dollar is going down. So when the value of the dollar goes down, it means you can buy less with that money. So you have to put it somewhere that's earning at least a little interest. So we'll talk about investments later, but for right now, the emergency fund money should be kept very liquid. So it needs to be in some type of a high yield savings account. For example, Ally has a savings account that's doing 0.8% right now. So that's higher than the national average, which is really about 0.01%. So at least you're getting some interest on your money. So this is for your emergencies. This money is not to be touched unless there is an emergency. And I'm gonna mention this now. Of course, I'll get into this a little bit later, but I'm gonna mention this now. A lot of people want to invest right now. They want to know where to invest at. And I think that that's great that people are thinking about investments, stock market investing and other type of investments. But until you get an emergency fund, you should not be thinking about investments. And the reason why is because, those investments can go one way or the other. And at the end of the day, you don't want to have to take your money out of investments, especially if they went down because of the fact that you have an emergency. You want to have emergency money for that. And then anything on top of that can be your investment money. That way you don't have to touch your investments if you run into an emergency. Hope that makes sense to everybody. So the next big thing I really want to talk about in terms of what we need to do in a pandemic, we need to get very serious about budgeting our finances. Some people may have limited income, and even if you're still working, right, we're still in the middle of this thing. So literally anything could happen. Now, of course, we're all believing God and stuff like that, but literally, as you found out, literally anything can happen financially. And we need to be as prepared as possible. And we need to make sure that we're not spending too much money on luxury items. And we're really just taking care of our necessities and making sure that we're putting away and saving as much money as possible. And you're only going to do that through budgeting, right? So to begin, you need to begin savings towards this emergency fund. We really need to take a good look at our budget. Because I know every time I sit down with people, they tell me for some reason that they absolutely can't save. And I always work with people trying to figure out why that is. And most of the time it's because of budgetary items. You know, once we kind of rework the budget and start eliminating some stuff that weren't necessary, we can find some money to save and actually start putting towards the emergency fund. Right? So bottom line is your current income, wherever it comes from, is your most powerful, you know, wealth building tool. It's your tool to become financially independent. And if you're not managing that money well, if you're not budgeting it correctly, then at the end of the day, you're not going to be able to save enough money for your emergency fund or eventually towards investing for your future. So the whole purpose of a budget is to begin to plug up those holes that we find in our pocketbook, you know, because if you don't manage your finances, your finances will start managing you, and it'll start seeping through your pockets. So the budget will help us plug up those holes. And really the real key to this is that we have to learn that we can't live beyond our means, right? If we're going to be financially independent, we have to stay within our means, right? And really below your means. And we'll get into that a little bit more later. Your budget is one of the things that's going to help you begin to locate what I call your residual income, or your, you know, so that you'll be able to take advantage of financial opportunities when they come up. One thing I'll mention right here, and that is, I really believe, and I know this to be true, is that the largest wealth transfer is going to be in the next couple of years taking place, right? And we need to be as prepared as possible to be able to take advantage of investment opportunities that are going to be coming up over the next couple of years. If we start now with getting our finances in order, saving money, putting it aside for emergency purposes, and then begin to invest wisely or begin to put away money for investments, in the next couple of years, we're going to be able to find some extremely amazing investment opportunities. They're going to be coming up because a lot of people are being affected by this pandemic, you know, for the bad. And you know, of course, as bad as we don't want to see anybody struggle, but what happens is the way that wealth transfers is oftentimes somebody is in trouble and they lose something, and you're able to kind of pounce on it and take advantage of the opportunity when it comes available. So that's the purpose of budgeting our money correctly. So let's do a budgeting example. And I'm gonna teach you just a little bit about how we can start figuring out our income and expenses. So first of all, we have to calculate what our income is. Very simply, depending upon how often you get paid. If you get paid, in this example, bi-weekly, then you would just take the bi-weekly amount, you will multiply it by 26, because we have 26 pay periods in a year if you get paid bi-weekly. If you get paid weekly, of course, you have 52 weeks. So you just kind of take that and then you divide it by 12 months. And I see I got a little typo there. That 26 is really 26 weeks, not months. And then you divide it by 12, and that will give you your total income for the month, right? It's very simply. Your expenses. This is an example of somebody's, you know, current monthly expenses. Now I want you to take a good look at this example, because what I want to do is later on, I'm going to give you another example, And I'm going to show you how we kind of reworked the expenses for this individual. So as you can see, this person has rent they have to pay, PSE&G, cell bill, cable. You know, when I do somebody's budget, these are the first things that I look at. I begin to ask them, you know, how much are they spending for these things? The reason why I'm trying to find out what they're spending right now is because I'm really trying to determine what can we cut down on, what can we cut back on, what can we eliminate, right? I want to try to find out what are you doing that we can change in order to put together some more savings opportunities for you. As you can see, the savings is right at the top, but this person is saving no money because unfortunately they have no money to save. So now it's my job as their financial coach to kind of work with them and try to help them to find out what areas they can save in. So you take a look at their financial situation now. Again, now in this particular example, we see that they don't have enough money for savings, right? Their expenses are $2,166 a month. Their monthly, that's their income. Their expenses are $2,165. So they only have $1 available at the end of every month. And I'm sure many people, even listening, could probably sympathize with this individual. In fact, I've sat down with many people that not only, you know, have barely nothing that they can save at the end of every month, they're actually in the red. That means that their expenses are more than their income. And then unfortunately, you know, those individuals are supplementing their lifestyle with credit cards or some other kind of debt in order to make sure that they can pay their monthly expenses. So I put down here in big red, see, I told you I needed more money. See, that's the thought of most people when they see how much money they actually have after they pay all of their expenses. But I'll tell you the truth, money is not, or more money is not always the answer. In some cases it is. In some cases, people do need to make more money. But usually the answer is better money management. And I put this down as a little life lesson. And that is your expenses will always rise to the level of your income if you don't stop it. And through a trial and error, I kind of learned this many years ago. I remember I was working this job and I was making pretty good money, but even though I was making pretty good money, it seemed like I was right at the edge every month. Every month I was right at the edge. I didn't have enough money. And this is before I got into finance really heavily. And I couldn't figure out how I can save money. I was just like, I was like, every dollar I got is going out. I don't have enough money to save. And then I wound up losing the job I had and I had to go on unemployment. So when I was on unemployment, you know that you make like 60% of what you were making. So I really had to seriously cut back on my spending. And what I learned from that lesson, this was a great lesson for me because I learned that I could cut back, right? Because of where my income was, my expenses rose to the level of it. So when I had to cut back because I was making 60% of that income, I found a way how to cut back and start, you know, being able to make it just off that unemployment income. And so my mindset became, well, since I can live like this, when I start working again and I start making more money, I'm gonna stay right here. You know, I'm gonna spend only the money that I was making when I was working unemployment. And when I was getting unemployment, and I'm gonna save the rest of the money. See, because most people, it's not necessarily that you need more money, it's just the way that you're currently managing the money that you have or the money that you are bringing in and making right now. So that's a real life lesson. If you don't stop it, your expenses will always raise to the level of the income that you're making. You have to consciously decide, I'm going to save some money and I'm going to cut back on my expenses so that I have money available to save and invest for my future. So let's talk about a few areas that we can begin to cut back on. Number one, the biggest area that I find with most people is a lot of people are addicted to eating out. Even now, even during the pandemic, a lot of people are eating out. More people you know, more people have been cutting back and have been cooking at home but now that things are opening again, people want to get back into, you know, the mix of things. They want to get back into the stores. They want to get back, you know, I see a lot of people, even though they're dining outside, they're still dining, even though they can't go inside the stores yet. They're out in restaurants outside eating, you know, so people still spend a lot of money out eating. I was over by Dunkin' Donuts, and the line for Dunkin' Donuts was all the way out into the street and almost down the block, you know, so people are still, you know, buying coffee, you know, people are still eating out, and you can easily save another $200 to $400 a month just by cutting back on eating out. Also, like coffee, you know, I'm a firm believer. I love coffee, so I drink it every day, but I've learned that I don't want to pay $5 for coffee, you know, and go to Starbucks and spend all my money there, you know, so I make my own coffee, and it costs me a ton less. It just costs me the expense of buying the machine, and then of course, you know, buying some coffee, but it costs it saves me hundreds of dollars, just, you know, over $100 a month, just stopping me from going out and drinking coffee. Cable, you know, years ago, I cut my cable off, and I just have internet and Netflix, and that saves me a ton of money. Cell phone bill, you can find a cheaper plan. So these are just a few areas where if you can start making the adjustments in your expenses. Of course, when you look at your regular expenses, you think, you know, I just don't have enough money. But if you look at the areas that you're kind of splurging on, you may be able to cut back a little bit. I'll give you an example. I was working with this young lady with her finances and budgeting for her. And, you know, she gave me all of her budget items, you know, and everything looked good. She should be able to save, you know, like $300-400 a month. And she was like, but I just can't seem to save that much every month. So I said, well, what I want to really look at is your bank statements. So she printed her bank statements out, and that told me the real story. It showed me where all of the money was really going. And this person, for whatever reason, they had like an addiction to two things: thrift stores and Cold Stone. That's what it was, Cold Stone. So she was like spending all of this money. So she figured like, well, I'm in a thrift store, so I'm not paying top dollar for name brand stuff. But she would go in the thrift store and pay and spend like $200 in the thrift store. I'm like, she had to be walking out with like, I mean, like a whole garbage bag full of clothes if you go in a thrift store for $200. And then she was buying Cold Stone like almost like every other day. So, I mean, she was blowing all of this money every month, hundreds and hundreds of dollars every month on just shopping at thrift stores and getting ice cream at Cold Stone. So I very quickly made her cut that thrift store stuff out. And now I talked to her about a week ago, and she has about $4,000. In the last year, she saved over $4,000 just from not going to the thrift stores and not going to Cold Stone all the time. Just those two little life changes. So we can all find little things that we splurge on that we may be able to kind of cut out. So these are a few little budget items that we can reduce or eliminate. Also, you know, another idea is every 12 months, you should definitely be renegotiating your car insurance, your homeowners or your renters insurance, and even your cell phone plan and things like your cable bill, at least every 12 months. I've learned a long time ago, these companies have no loyalty to me. So I don't have no loyalty to them. I don't have no problem switching. I don't have no problem switching cable providers, cell phone providers, car insurance, whatever, you know, I can switch. And things like even cable bills. You usually, if you start off with a cable company, usually get a good introductory rate. They usually last for like a year or maybe even a year or so, or 2 years sometimes. And after that year, the rate changes to what the regular rate is, right? You got it because you're a new subscriber. All you have to do to get the best rates is call them on the phone and say, look, I'm about to cancel my plan with you guys. And automatically they're going to put somebody on the phone that's going to try to talk you into staying. You know, if you just go to the prompts and you say, cancel my plan, they're going to put somebody on the phone immediately. And that person will try to talk you into staying. And the bottom line is, you can let them know, well, look, if you give me, you know, whatever you're giving these new people, the rate you're giving them, I'll stay with you. And you can wind up negotiating that and getting a better rate. Or if they refuse to, be ready to, you know, put your money where your mouth is and go to another provider and let them give you a better rate. But the bottom line is, these are some areas that you can wind up, you know, some things that you can do in order to kind of save you a little bit of money on some of the insurances or some of the other services that you have. So also, to reduce or eliminate expenses, and this is extreme, you know, this is the extreme portion of it. Consider downsizing. You know, you may be living in an apartment or a home that you really can't afford right now. Maybe you need to be in a smaller apartment. You know, maybe you need to be in a smaller home, and maybe you need to make some adjustments. You know, and again, this is kind of the extreme, right? If you're at a point where you cannot afford where you're living, don't suffer. Don't stay there and suffer in a financial stressor over just being somewhere just because you want to be there. Downsize if you have to. If your car is too expensive to maintain, you may want to consider getting a more economical car. You know, if you're driving a distance and you have a gas guzzler, you may want to get you a Honda or something like that, or a Toyota, something that's good on gas, so that you don't spend tons of money, you know, just keeping the car running. So these are just a few areas, some thoughts that you can take in terms of budgetary ideas. So now let's look at the new budget example. Again, if I was sitting down and working with somebody, the very first area I would have looked at, if they're paying $200 a month, is I would have looked at their cell bill. And I would have told them that they need to downgrade their cell service. So in this example, we downgraded their service to $100 a month. Now we can get it down even lower than that. I mean, there's some rates out there that's like $50 a month. Also the cable. This person's got the triple play going. You know, triple play could be like $250, $300 a month for the triple play. And that's what the, you know, the internet, the cable, and the telephone. You know, most people don't need all that. All you need is an internet and some Netflix, you know, and you can save, you know, maybe a couple of $100 a month just on service. I found out I had cable service. I had 1,000 channels or more, and I'm flicking. And I'm like, I can't believe I got over 1,000 channels and I can't find anything to watch on TV. So I'm like, if I can't find anything to watch on TV and I'm paying $300 a month, maybe I don't need to have cable. So we cut that thing off, kept the internet, got Netflix, and I watch most of my stuff on Netflix or YouTube, you know, anything else that's free. I do have Amazon Prime, which costs another $20 a month. And Amazon, but I got it for two purposes. Amazon Prime, of course, make sure that my packages arrive my packages in 2 days or less. And then also I get to watch movies, right? I get movies through Amazon Prime and some other shows. So that's kind of how our stuff is set up. Also, and with this person, I kind of cut out eating out. Told him, look, cook your food, take your food with you. You know, my wife and I pretty much, we eat out maybe once a week. That's it for the most part. You know, I'm a chef, so I cook, you know, every week. I cook for the whole week. We have enough food to take with us to work and stuff like that. My wife is working from home now. I work in the office a couple of days a week, but I pack my lunch, take it with me, you know, and I'm not spending any money out. Not because I can't, but because I'd rather save and invest right now than spend money eating out. So now with this person, we adjusted their expenses. Now you remember on the last example, their monthly expenses were $2,165, but now just making those little examples, or rather those cutting their expenses a little bit, we got them down to $1,675. So that gives them a wealth recapture of $491. So this is money that can be used towards saving for an emergency fund, and eventually money that they can use to invest for their future. I mean, almost $500 can go a long way in investing for your future, so just a few little changes and we wind up being able to save this money. So I challenge you, take a look at your budget and see what areas you are spending too much money on right now and how you can cut back so that you can have a little bit more money available to save for your emergency fund, pay down debt. And, and debt is a big thing. If you can get rid of some of the debt that you have, that would save you a ton of money as well. And then, of course, saving for investing. So with all that being said, the real key here is just paying yourself, learning how to pay yourself. And I always tell people, you need to treat yourself like a budgetary item. This should not be something that should happen or something that you would like to happen. It's something that needs to happen, right? It's like you're gonna pay your rent. You're gonna pay PSE&G, or you ain't gonna have no lights or gas, right? You're gonna pay certain bills. You're gonna pay. One of the bills you need to pay is yourself. And once you make your adjustments in your budget, you can really start paying yourself, right? And again, it's a way that you become financially independent. And challenge yourself to save 10% of your income. But if you can't do that, just start somewhere, save something, at least commit yourself to saving something every single pay period. I don't care if it's $20, save something. And again, like I said, consider it a bill that you need to pay yourself. And no, without a question, if the pandemic has taught us anything, is that emergency fund saving is just critical. It's important. It's something that we all need to have. And ultimately, this is going to be the money that's going to help you accumulate what we call income producing assets. And I will talk about that just a little bit later. All right. So I know that some people are listening right now, or maybe we'll be watching this later, that says, all that sounds good. It sounds great. But what if I lost my income as a result of this pandemic? So this section is going to be for you. The first section was really designated for individuals that are still have an income, that are still pulling in some type of income from somewhere, no matter where it is, if they're still working, or if they have a business income or self-employed, or even if they got unemployment income coming in. If you have some income coming in, that first section was really more so for you. But it's for everybody, right? Because when you start getting your income again, you need all of those things I just talked about. But I really wanted to get to this part because we're talking about, what do you do in a pandemic, right? And a lot of people have lost their income. So with that being said, what can you do? So the very first thing that you need to do, without a question, see if you qualify for unemployment benefits. Now, the basic requirements are just simply this. You become unemployed through no fault of your own. You meet those state minimums. Now, New Jersey has a state minimum of income and time worked is 20 weeks in a covered position, or you have earned $7,300, right? And you have to be, of course, willing and able to work. Those are the basic requirements. And most people, because of that, didn't even try to apply for unemployment benefits. They didn't even know that as a result of the bill that was released as a result of the pandemic, that there are new pandemic requirements that even enable people that were self-employed or freelancers or independent contractors or even gig workers. They had an opportunity also to be able to receive unemployment benefits. I know people that were not even paying into unemployment at their job, and they were able to collect unemployment. People, again, that were self-employed, they didn't pay into the system, but because of the fact of that the pandemic happened and Congress came up with these new laws and made them available to us, people were able to get unemployment that weren't even technically qualified for it. So if you didn't apply for unemployment because you didn't think you qualified for it, you may qualify, So definitely go on the unemployment website. You can just Google it, NJ unemployment, and you can take a look at the requirements. And again, you may be able to qualify for some unemployment right now. Again, even if you were not a regular employee, if you worked for yourself, you could have been an Uber or Lyft driver. You could have been working as a hairstylist, no matter what you were doing, you may qualify for unemployment benefits. So that's the very first thing that you should do if you lost money or don't have any income coming in as a result of the pandemic. Also, what you want to do as soon as possible is if you have any debt, you want to make sure that you talk to your creditors. One of the biggest mistakes that people do when they lose their income is they panic. And they, instead of talking to their creditors, they avoid them, right? The creditors start calling them, start harassing them, letters in the mail, and harassing them. And instead of just picking up the phone and talking to them, they avoid them, they ignore them. That's the worst thing that you can do, especially right now. You want to make sure that you call before your payment is due if possible, right? One of the things you want to try to do is try to save your credit at all costs, because if you become late, no matter whether it's a pandemic or not, you're going to wind up getting hit on your credit for this. And you need to understand that there are many programs available right now as a result of this pandemic. So many things have been deferred. Student loan payments have been deferred. Also, even if you go on and you look at your credit cards right now, there's always the first link you see is like their COVID response. And a lot of them will allow you to apply for, deferment in your payments, and you will not be penalized on your credit for it. A lot of them have put, even mortgages have put the payments on the back of the loan, but you have to apply for these things. You can't, most of this stuff don't just happen. Like your student loans just happened, but mortgages, your credit cards, other debts that you have to call in and you have to let them know, I'm going through a situation. Be ready to, share why you're unable to pay right now. Be ready to, explain to them how long you expect to be in this situation. And of course, if you can pay something, let them know what you can pay right now. But be ready to give them your story. Let them know, hey, this pandemic happened, my job closed, I'm not able to pay. What kind of programs do you have available to help me through this time? You may be able to get a 6-month deferment, and some even longer, where you're not having to pay these. I mean, some people on their car notes, I know, got deferments, for months in order to help them get past that situation. So, don't be afraid of your creditors right now. Make sure, don't wait, speak to them, let them know what's going on, right? Again, we're talking about what to do in the middle of a pandemic. You can try, I gotta go back. You can try 211. Now 211 is like I call it the 411 for like nonprofit organizations or organizations that are able to help people in times of need. So if you need help with food, or if you need help with housing, utility bills, like if you're behind on your rent and you need some help with your rent payments, you can contact 211 and they can connect you with organizations that can help you, right? Even if you need employment, or you need to, again, utility payments, or they got all of the list of the food pantries so that you know where to go. I mean, almost any and everything you can think about that you may be struggling and being challenged with right now, if you call 211 in your area or go to their website, which is 211.org, you can look up the type of assistance that you need, and you may be able to find some help. I found something that was really pretty cool that I didn't even know that was available. There's a grant called the Modest Needs Grant, right? And you can even just Google Modest Needs Grant. And this grant, it helps individuals that are, they're workers, but they're making just above the poverty line. Excuse me. Now, you know that most programs are available only for people usually that are making below, the poverty line, within 200% usually of the federal poverty line. So that kind of pushes out people that make a pretty decent income, but still need help. Because there is a such thing as the, working poor, people that need help even though they are making some money. So this grant has an average grant between $750 to $1,250 for assistance that you may need. So You can find programs like that through 211. So if you give them a call and let them know what type of situation you're going through, they may be able to connect you with an organization in your area that has a program available that you don't even know about. And they may be able to assist you, right? So try 211. And again, I'm trying to get through this because I want you to be able to ask me some questions later. So I'm trying to get through this presentation as quickly and informatively as possible. But try 211. Also, right now, we need to all, especially if you're not working right now, you need to take advantage of the time that you have. I told my congregation, I said, we need to come out of the corona with something, right? We need to come out of this thing with something. One thing that the downtime that we had, all of those months, not having to go to work, not having to, or not even if we did working from home, all of that time we had available, we need to capitalize on it. I just really encouraged one of my members to go back to school. They've been wanting to get their master's degree for some time now. And I'm like, now, if you're going to do it, now's the time to do it. Get the thing done. People are online getting their degrees. Go back to school, acquire the education that you need so that you can, so when jobs start opening up again, you can really get the career that you're looking for, right? Get certified in something. Almost everything is online now. You can get certified for so many different things right now on just going online. So if you ever wanted to be even a real estate agent, you can go on and you can get certified as a real estate agent online right now, right? If you wanted to sell life insurance, all of these things people have modules online where you can go on and you can get certified in those areas. Definitely think about starting a small business. You know who are making some good money? People that were making personalized masks, right? People were making masks that were personalized with your name on them, with a scripture on them or something like that. They made good money in the pandemic, right? They took advantage of an opportunity. They said, you know what? We got to wear these masks. Why don't we put a scripture on them? Why don't we put your favorite sports team on them? Why don't we put your name on them? Or why don't we put a cool saying on it or something like that and sell them? And people made money doing it, right? So there's a lot of opportunities for us or for you and I to start small businesses. I put here, write a book, right? If you ever had a topic that you have expertise in, write a book. Throughout this pandemic, I finished my book on my second book. My first book I wrote a couple of years ago called Money on My Street, the ABCDs of Wealth Accumulation. I wrote that book like 2 years ago. And right after that, I got the idea of writing a book that just focused on credit. And the second book that I wrote is called The Credit Repair Edition of Money on My Street. And I finished the book through the pandemic. I had some downtime, some time that I spent at home and took advantage of it and finished the book, right? I had it somewhat done and I just took that downtime and finished it and got it out. And now I'm about to release my third book, which is going to be a children's book on finance, because I really believe that, and it's statistically proven that you need to start teaching your children about finances, like at 4 or 5 years old. They need to start learning about finances. The greatest lessons they're going to learn, and sometimes the only lesson they're going to learn about finances is the lessons that you give them. So I want to write a book that will help parents teach their kids or introduce the topic of finance to their children. So it's a pretty cool story about a kid that wants to, he wants all of these toys in the store, and his parents use it as a life lesson to teach him about how things cost money. And if you really, and he wound up getting a little, a job with them doing chores around the house and getting paid and being able to buy his own toys. And his father teaches him how to save and stuff like that. So there's many different financial lessons that are birthed out of this book. So right now it's with an illustrator that are drawing drawing everything for me. So I'm really excited about this book coming out. But all of this happened throughout the pandemic, right? I had this time and I said, let me take advantage of this time. So there's still time for you to take advantage of it if you have some type of a expertise in something that you think somebody may be interested in reading about. You should definitely look into writing a book. And this is something that could make you money now and then for years to come. So these are some other ways that you can increase your ability to earn. Also, start a side hustle. So, you know, there's some really great side hustles going on right now. Deliver food for Uber Eats or Grubhub or DoorDash. I mean, a lot of people, you know, just because I don't want you to eat out doesn't mean other people are not eating out. A lot of other people are spending money like crazy because they don't want to cook. So they are looking for someone to deliver their food. And through these side hustles, especially through Uber Eats or Grubhub or DoorDash, you can make between $15 to $25 an hour just doing that. As long as you got a car and you can drive and you're willing to do it, you can pretty easily sign up for that and do it, right? Become a personal shopper, right? Platforms like Instacart, right? Where you go grocery shopping for someone. We order food that way. My wife loves it. I mean, I like going to the grocery store personally myself, but my wife loves, you know, shopping through Instacart, you know, so when she orders her items, you know, they drop it off right at the door. You don't even have to talk to the people. You don't have to see them. They just drop it off at the door, ring the doorbell. They're back in their car before you open the door. They're running so fast to get away from you, you know, so it's like, you can do that, right? You can go to the grocery store and shop for somebody. You know, they make on average $20 to $30 an hour. That's a very good opportunity for those of you that are not working or earning an income right now. One thing that you can do, online tutoring is becoming big. You know, there's so many stay-at-home parents that are trying to work right now and their kids all over the place. And they would love for somebody to help them with their homework. I mean, I don't know about you, but I looked at this new math that they do. My nephew came over and I tried to do that new math. I can't do that new math. I'm trying to do the old math. And he's like, we don't do it that way. I don't know how to do this new math. We need some tutors that may be able to teach them how to do that new math. So that could be you if you're good at it, right? You can be an online tutor. And I have some resources that I found. These are some online, so you don't even have to look for people. Right? You could, right? You can call some of your friends that have kids and say, hey, I can tutor your children and, you know, charge you a little bit every week. But there are online tutoring programs that you can get into, you know, and you probably should take these down real quick. I'll give you a quick second, but I won't talk about all these, but I'll just simply say you can log on to their websites and you can either hire them, right? Or you can become a tutor yourself. And they wound up paying but somewhere between $10 and $20 an hour on $25 an hour on average for you to just from the comfort of your home teach some kids that need to be homeschooled. You know, so if you're a teacher right now and you're not working and you want to make a little extra money, this is a great way for you to do that. Or even if you're not a teacher, I'm not sure exactly what all of the qualifications are, but you can become an online tutor. All right, so I'm just trying to give you guys all some examples of what you can be doing. Because I mean, so many people are like, I don't know what to do, but I'm trying to chalk this thing full of opportunities, things that you can do. Get a part-time job. Some of these places, these grocery stores, if nobody else is hiring, a grocery store is hiring. Amazon is hiring like crazy. Aldi's, Kroger's, all of these different, Whole Foods is hiring. So many, Stop and Shop is hiring. So many different places are hiring right now because they are essential workers, right? And people need to be at the stores to be able to service people that are coming to get this food. So that is another opportunity for you to make some additional money even right now if you're not working right now. All right. I'm getting closer and closer to this. All right, so those are some opportunities. So I kind of broke this thing down into 3 different sections. The very first section, I was talking to budgeting to people that are currently making some money right now. The second opportunity or second segment was for those of you that are not working right now and we're just looking for some opportunities or ways to make money right now in the middle of a pandemic. This section now, I want to talk to people that are, whether you're ready to invest right now or you're progressing to that point, I want to talk to you right now to kind of help you out or talk to you about some investment opportunities that you can find in a pandemic right now. So I'll preface what I'm about to say with this. I'm gonna mention this again. Before you start investing money, you need to first get that 3 to 6 month emergency fund in place, at least 3 months. Now, you know, the amazing thing is financial advisors are now saying you need to have a year worth of emergency savings, just because all of the stuff that's happening right now, a year of emergency savings. But you know, at least 3 to 6 months, right? That covers you in the event that you lose your income, whatever that is. Even if you're on unemployment, unemployment is not going to last forever, right? And if you're not able to find a job after unemployment runs out, you need to have some emergency savings. I'm gonna mention this to you. If you're on unemployment right now and you were saving that, if you were getting that extra $600 a week, you really needed to be saving that money, you know, and living off of just the unemployment. Now, if what's happening in Jersey now is the Governor Murphy, just applied for those additional funds that President Trump was talking about. I don't know if some of you may not have heard, but President Trump signed an executive order to give $400 extra a week to people that are on unemployment. But the state had to sign off on it or apply for this money, and they had to agree to pay $100 of it. So the federal government's gonna pay $3, and the state or local government will pay the other $1. So a total of $400. So Governor Murphy just filled out the application for that. So those of you that's on unemployment should be receiving that additional $400 starting, they say, approximately the beginning of October. That should be happening. And then your unemployment could be running throughout the end of this year, and then maybe even beyond with the extensions. So, but that $400 will probably run to at least the end of this year. And also right now, the Senate is in process of coming up with a pandemic relief bill. And I know that the Republicans and Democrats are kind of going back and forth, and they're trying to put together some type of a bipartisan effort to get this pandemic bill out. Right now, the main holdups is that additional $600 in unemployment benefits. Republicans want to do less. The Democrats don't want to back up off of the $600 a week. That's kind of like their main thing. So you may be receiving that additional $600 a week going forward. Also, they're talking about another stimulus payment of $1,200 for single individuals that are making $75,000 or less. For couples, $2,400, and those that have dependents, $500 per dependent child, right? So that's something that's being discussed. So these are some extra opportunities for you to be able to save towards your emergency fund. Instead of blowing that money, dump it in your emergency fund. Instead of blowing that additional $600 a week, build your emergency fund with it, right? So these are some additional ways that you can do that even if you're on unemployment right now. So let's say you got your 3 to 6 months worth of expenses saved up, and now you're ready to invest a little money. I want to just give you a couple of ideas, a couple of little things that you can do, especially for the beginning investor, right? You can try apps like Acorns. Acorns is for stock market investing. It's kind of an investment tool that will help you. And you can even do this now, no matter what your situation is actually, because what it does is it helps you invest your loose change. You know, so it kind of works off the premise of if you have one of those checking and savings accounts that where every time you spend money in your checking account with your debit card, it takes the change. So in other words, you spent $5.60 on an item, it takes the 40 cents and it dumps it in your savings account. It kind of works off that premise, but it takes that 40 cents and it dumps it into an investment vehicle. And these investment vehicles are invested in what's called ETFs. ETFs are electronic traded funds. And a lot of them are designed to connect with index indexes like the S&P 500. The S&P 500 is the Standard & Poor's 500 is the top 500 companies in the country. So you through ETFs, you're really diversifying. So you're buying smaller portions or what they call fractional shares of many different corporations. So it kind of works like a mutual fund. So mutual funds are a bunch of different organizations dumped into a basket for you to invest in at one time. So you can get Apple, Google, you can get, IBM, all of the different, major companies. You can invest in them all at one time instead of paying hundreds of dollars to invest in just one stock, right? You're paying that money to buy fractional shares of each. So Acorns is a good way to get involved in investing. You can manage everything from your phone. You can invest more money if you like, but it also, again, it takes you can, if you would like, say you want to invest $25 a week, you can set up a recurring investment to be able to do that. You don't even have to think about the money. You can just do $25 a week, $10 a week, $100 a week, whatever you can afford. And then it will take that money and invest it for you. And then it will take your loose change as well and invest it for you. So this is a good little way for you to get started with a little investing. And again, the platform is called Acorns. Also, you can use, there's other apps like Stash. Stash is also good. It allows you to invest in, like I said, fractional shares. Again, that means that if you want to invest in Apple right now is trading for slightly over $500 a share. Now, you may not have $500 to buy one share of Apple, but you can get a piece of Apple. You can buy like $20 worth of Apple, through a fractional share, right? You can buy a piece of it, or you can take a bite out of the apple instead of buying the whole apple, So this is through Stash, you can do things like that. You can also invest in like ETFs as well. You can invest in an index fund that's like the S&P 500, which is my recommendation, right? Most people don't need to be involved in just buying one stock, because if that one stock folds, then you're done, right? But when you invest in index funds like the S&P 500, you're investing in 500 of the top corporations. And if one of them falls, they're all not going to fall. So it gives you the best possible chance to make as much money as possible in the market. So you can use apps like Stash. So you can also download that on your iPhone or your Android device. Also, this is very interesting. I've really started heavily investing in silver right now as a precious metal. Gold is very expensive, but silver is not as expensive for people. Right now it's trading at about $20 an ounce, a little bit over that. Gold is like $2,000 and almost $2,400 an ounce right now. But silver is trading at about $20-something an ounce. And anybody can kind of get involved in that. Silver and gold is kind of like what we call a counter currency, or it works counter to the market. And this is what I mean by that. The market right now is doing well, but that's because the Fed is really doing its best to keep the market up. They're pumping a lot of dollars into the economy, right? And they're doing whatever they can to keep the market afloat. But I personally do believe that the market is within the near future or future is gonna crash, right? It's gonna come down, no question about it. And again, for those of you that are investing in the market, that doesn't mean pull out of it, right? You want to buy low and you want to sell high. So when the market does go down, you want to buy more. But a good investment to make right now while it's low is things like silver and gold, because again, it works counter to the market. So when the market is not doing well, silver and gold is doing well. So a lot of people that are not, like I mentioned, the value of the dollar has gone down by 10% since the corona happened. So that means, again, that because there's more money, whenever there is more supply than there is demand, or there's more money in the economy right now than people that are spending it, the value goes down, because The people are, because the Fed is pumping money into the economy, right? More money is being created. Trillions of dollars are being pumped into our economy, but a lot of people are not spending that money, right? Because you can't go out and spend it like you would like to, because a lot of the stores are closed. So the value of the dollar is going down. But when things like that happen, a lot of times people start investing in things like precious metals, because it has its own intrinsic value, because it's something that comes from the earth. So a lot of investors begin to invest in things like that. So this is a good, if you're really like cautious, or you're losing confidence in the dollar right now, a good investment to make is in silver and gold. Now you have to hold it, right? I'm not talking about silver and gold on the market. I'm talking about literal, physical silver and gold. Like I was gonna bring it today, but I forgot. I have coins that are like that big of silver, and I keep them in a safe. And those coins by themselves are worth, $20 or more right now. I bought them when they were lower, but now they've increased in value. And people say that silver is going to wind up going to about $500 an ounce within the next 3 years. So it's a good investment to make, but it's also a good thing to have if you're trying to find somewhere to put dollars. All right. So that's another idea for you. Also, now again, I'm talking about in the next couple of years. In the next couple of years, real estate is going to be a fantastic investment. And that's because many people, you're not going to see it this year. You're not going to see it a lot probably next year. But when the following year, you're going to start seeing many people that are going to be losing their houses as a result of this pandemic. And when people lose their houses in bulk rates, like they're going to be using, these banks are going to be taking control of these houses. And they're going to wind up being great investment opportunities for people that are ready. That's why I'm really stressing about getting ready, getting your emergency fund together, getting your money, start saving money for your making investments that come, opportunities that come up. And real estate is going to be a big opportunity for many people. Now, of course, owning your own house, I believe, is very important. Even right now, owning your house is important. And the rates are so low right now. And over the next couple of years, they're probably going to be really low. You can probably, get a house and get an interest rate of under 3%, because the Fed is trying to get the interest rates so close to zero. That means that you're going to be able to get some fantastic deals if you buy a home. Not just getting the house for a low price, but getting a low interest rate. I got a fantastic interest rate on the house my wife and I bought in September. We bought a house in Sparta. We're out by the lake. And but we got a great deal, a great interest rate on it. And we're paying right now probably equal to most people pay on rent right now. And we have this payment for the next 30 years that is going to be the same, right? So rents tend to go up every year, regardless of what's happening. Right? The rent's going to go up. That landlord is going to want more money. So that as that rent is going up, your value of your dollar is going down. So you're paying, so you got to increase rent. The value of your money is less. So that means you're spending even more. But if you buy a home, now you lock yourself into an interest rate. So again, real estate is a tremendous opportunity right now for people. Again, if you rent, your landlord can go up on your rent, right? If you get a good price of your home, you can, thank you. All right, that's good, a lot better. All right, now, but that's just regular, right? Buying your home. That's not really, buying a home is not really an investment, right? It's not really an investment option. It is something that you need to do, because I believe everybody needs to own their own home just for the reasons that I just talked about. But that's not really an investment, not until you sell it anyway. Unless you sell it for more than what you bought it for, it's not necessarily an investment. Your own personal home is more of a liability. But real estate investment, and I'm going to talk about now, and that's going to be something that's very big. in the next couple of years. You're going to be able to buy possibly some 3 to 4 unit properties and be able to rent them out. That is kind of one of my goals that I'm preparing my wife and myself for. Our goal is to buy investment properties in the next couple of years and start building a portfolio of investment properties. So if you buy right, you can get a 3-family home, and the goal always is that 2 units will pay for the whole house, right? 2 units pay for the mortgage, the principal, interest, the taxes, the insurance, and then of course, all of the other expenses that a house has. And then 1 unit is your cash flow, right? So that could be $1,000 a month. And so think about that. Let's say you get 4 or 5 houses. You can make $4,000 to $5,000 a month having investment properties. So of course it takes work. You know, it's not going to be easy, but at the same time, it's a way where you can start building up your portfolio and really start investing if that's something that you're inclined to do. So that's an excellent investment opportunity. All right. So with that, I'm at the end of the presentation. I really hope that that this helped many people. What I want to do now is I want to get ready to open this up for questions. So if you guys have any questions out there, I want to give you guys an opportunity. Okay, so we have advice for business owners, right? Number 1, advice for business owners. And then those that are beginning in investing. Oh, say for business owners, a couple of things I have for advice. One for sure, you have to think about ways that you can make your business pandemic proof, or find a way where you can do your business as much online as possible. So for example, and you know, I'm not trying to count this as a business, but it has business aspects. As a pastor, my goal was to make our ministry as pandemic proof as possible, right? I wanted to be able to make the interactive experience for people online just like they would be in church. So we upgraded all of our media. You know, we made sure that we made it easy for people to be able to give their tithes and offerings online. We upgraded our camera system and our video system because we wanted to make sure that people that were watching at home were, you know, kind of had as close to a feel of being in service as possible, right? We are open for service. Some people are coming in on Sundays, but it is definitely not the same number of people that were normally coming. So we had to make that experience for people that are staying at home, either because they're nervous about coming out and being around people or whatever the situation is. We wanted to make it as comfortable for people to be able to interact online as possible, right? So using Facebook Live and using Zoom and things of that nature. So for a business owner, you got to figure out how you can conduct your business as online as possible. Make it easy for people to purchase your products online or your services. Also, you know, if you're still pulling in income, definitely try to put away 3 to 6 months worth of expenses for your business, right? It's not just for yourself personally. Definitely put away money in savings for your business, so that if something goes down, you're still able to manage the finances, or rather the expenses that the business have. Beginners with investing, I'll mention this as I was mentioning in the presentation. Definitely you can do things like the Acorns or the Stash app. They have a lot of great information inside them, and it kind of takes the mind work out of it. You don't have to think about what you're investing in as much. It matches your investing style to some questions, right? It asks you, you know, different questions about how you feel about losing money and how you feel about money itself, and then it determines whether or not you're, you know, intermediate investor or an expert investor, and then it begins to put together a program for you based upon that. So that's what I would say do. Definitely, you know, look into, you know, Acorns, look into Stash, you know, in order to invest. Do that for sure. Also, if you want to invest in things like silver, you can use You want to look for a reputable vendor. I use a vendor called JM Bullion, and you can go online and you can buy silver or gold from them. They're one of the 3 top reputable dealers. I usually use them because their rates are really good. So those are kind of some of my advice for business owners and beginner investors. What are my takes on Bitcoin? So Bitcoin is also, just like silver and gold, Bitcoin is also something that many investors are getting involved in. I like the idea of cryptocurrency, especially Bitcoin, because it operates outside of government jurisdiction, you know, so it can't be affected by the Fed. You know, they can't tamper with it. So I think that purchasing Bitcoin right now, fractional shares of Bitcoin, is a very good idea. Before you get involved in investing or buying Bitcoin, really make sure that you do your homework in terms of where you can go to, you know, buy your Bitcoin from. Coinbase is a great place to buy your Bitcoin. They're reputable. But what happens is they give you what's called a virtual wallet. And so Bitcoin, right? It's not a physical coin. It's a digital coin. So, but just like a physical coin, it has to be placed somewhere, right? So just like if I had $1 in my hand, I will put my dollar in a wallet. Bitcoin has what's called a virtual wallet. I have one because I invest in cryptocurrency a little bit. And I have one called Ledger Nano S. That is my virtual wallet. It looks kind of like a flash drive, but you literally download your Bitcoin or whatever virtual cryptocurrency you have onto this virtual wallet. So you got to make sure that you have all these things in place before you start investing, because you can very easily lose your Bitcoin. I had a congregant that lost a whole half a Bitcoin, thousands of dollars. He got Bitcoin when it was brand new, and he didn't, you know, he had paid barely nothing for it, and then it skyrocketed, as you all know, and went up, you know, but he lost it, you know, because he never put it in a digital wallet. So now he can't find it. He's been looking all over the place, you know, on his, you know, trying to get it, but he can't locate it. So he lost thousands of dollars just like that. And it's very easy to lose money in cryptocurrency if you don't have all of the things in place. That's something definitely, you know, if you wanted to set up something, we could talk a little bit more about, and we can get into that. All right, somebody asked here. All right, is this taped? Yes, this is being taped today. It's currently being taped, so you should be able to have access to it. It's going to be available on YouTube through Bishop Barbara's or Love of Jesus Newark's page on YouTube. You'll be able to find it there. Also, I'm going to get a copy of it. I'm going to put it on my, you know, my page, My Money on My Street group page on Facebook. It'll be there as well. If you're on unemployment, now work part-time, still having issues with applying for the weeks you're unemployed, what are your options? What about, okay. So what are your options if you're currently, you are on unemployment, but you're still trying to get those back weeks? So what you should probably do, usually when you go on to, and you apply for your unemployment, if you go on and try that now, you should be able to apply for those back weeks online. You should be able to get all of the back week that you were never able to claim right online. If you're unable to do that, the only other option really, unfortunately, is trying to get on the phone with somebody from unemployment, which is it's not impossible, but it's almost next to impossible now because of everything that's going on. But you can go on their unemployment website and you can actually send them an email. And I think it'd be kind of quicker for you to get a question answered through email than trying to call them on the phone right now. And you asked me, you said, what about Cash App? I don't understand what that means about what about Cash App. Can you elaborate on that? Also, give your opinion on Robinhood as an investment app. Robinhood is also a pretty good investment app. I actually, to be honest with you, I chose rather to use Stash and also Acorns. I liked it a little bit better than Robinhood. And I heard when I did some reviews, I always do reviews or check out reviews before I use a particular app. And they didn't have the greatest reviews. And one of the reasons I didn't choose them is that there was a moment where they went completely, their system went completely down when everybody was trying to buy stocks at a time. Their system went completely down for over 24 hours and people couldn't move their money. They couldn't buy or they couldn't sell or anything. And when I start seeing things like that, it tells me that there's some type of an infrastructure issue, especially when you're trying to move your money quickly and you can't. That really irritates me. So I didn't use Robinhood as an app because of that. I'm not saying they didn't fix that problem. I'm not saying that they're not a good app. I just personally don't use them. And blah, blah, blah. Let's see. As your wallet for Bitcoin. I will talk. Okay, yeah. So yeah, you can definitely talk to me about the wallet. Like I said, you can Google it. Ledger Nano S. Ledger Nano NANOS. They have actually a new virtual wallet. Do not, when you're looking it up, do not buy a virtual wallet through Amazon. Do not buy a virtual wallet through anybody but the dealer you're trying to use, because there are a lot of like fake virtual wallets out there. So go to the company itself. Like when I say Ledger Nano S, Google Ledger Nano S and go to their actual website to purchase it. Don't try to find a deal on it. Purchase it right from them. You know, that's the one thing you don't want to play with when you're buying cryptocurrency. You want to make sure that you have the right tools. No question about that. All right. Are there any other questions? I think I went through all my questions here. All right. All right. So if no one has any other questions, I want to let you know how you can contact me. I'm going to bring back up my presentation so that you can get my contact information. All right. So I'm just going to mention this here. Like I mentioned, I have 2 books that came out. One is called Money on My Street, the ABCDs of Wealth Accumulation. I have the second book here, which is Money on My Street, the Credit Repair Edition. Money on My Street, the first book, the ABCDs of Wealth Accumulation. A stands for asset accumulation, B is for budgeting, C is for credit, and D is for debt elimination. It's pretty much most of the things or almost everything that I've learned about finances over the years, I put it in that book. And then the second book, the Credit Repair Edition, just focuses 100% on credit and how you fix your credit, how you repair it, how you start it off, you know, and every single aspect, it teaches you exactly what to do with no matter what your credit situation is, it'll help you with it. So those books, if you went on Amazon, you get them for $19.99 a piece, but I'm doing a promotion today. You can get the copies of them for, both of them for $30. And the easiest way to do it is you can shoot me an email. Also, you can, if you want to set up a one-on-one financial coaching session with me, you can also do that and mention that in the email, and I'll make sure to get in contact with you and we can set up something virtually on Zoom. So with that being said, I think you guys asked all of your questions. I'm just going to look one more time. Yes, no more questions. So I want to thank you guys so much for joining me today. I hope that you guys enjoyed this. I hope it helped. I really pray that it helped you guys. I'm very grateful again. Thank you, Bishop Barber, for allowing me to speak to your people today. Again, I pray that it was helpful. I thank Elder Shakira for setting this thing up, you know, and I'm really hoping that some of you get in contact with me, and I'm looking to help out anybody that needs some assistance. But look, I love you guys. Thank you again. And I hope you guys have a tremendous day. You're going to be able to catch this. It's going to be on YouTube again on LOJ Noork's YouTube page. It'll also be on my Facebook page and my group page. And I'm also going to put it on my personal page. So if you can friend me. And hello, everyone. My name is Gavin Taylor, and I'm the creator of Money on My Street. God bless you guys. Thank you so much. Hope you guys have a tremendous day. All right. Money on My Street is a financial literacy program and book series that was created to provide financial education and solutions to anyone looking to become financially independent. Financial literacy is the key to wealth accumulation. So we created our program to help families achieve their financial goals. Now we've turned our attention to the children. A Children's Guide to Wealth is the story of Samuel Taylor and how one trip to the toy store placed him on the road to financial independence. Through the teaching of his parents, Sammy learns about the value of money and how financial education can make him wealthy. The reason I wrote this book was to help parents with educating their children on basic financial principles. That equals $20, right?
Look, now you have $20.
Right, he had $20, but then he put 2 in his piggy bank. So how much do you have after that? 18. There you go. $18. As parents, it's our responsibility to teach our children about money so that they can learn how to build generational wealth. Helping our children to form healthy financial habits now will assist them in becoming financially independent in the future. To get a copy of any of the books in our financial literacy series, you can go to www.moneyonmystreet.com.
This money on my street, I'm trying to get it out. My money's making money while I sleep. Financial wisdom, boy, we trying to eat. This money on my street, oh boy, you gotta practice what you preach. If you a hustler, then let's see you retreat. Money on my street, my money's making money while I sleep. Financial wisdom, boy, we trying to eat. This money on my street, oh boy, you gotta practice what you preach. If you a hustler, then let's see you retreat. Money on my street.